Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot for May 7th. Jerry thought you might like to see him. He says that he was, feeling like he needed some more adoration and that perhaps you all needed a bit of an awe moment. So Jerry's joined us for a couple of minutes to say hi. It's a good boy, huh? It's a good boy. We figured out a way to keep him in the backyard. So he's a much happier cat now because he can go out there. Yeah, so it's all good, except now he just wants to be outside, 24/7. And we're not letting that happen. So he still is a little cranky with us, aren't you? Ain't ya? Okay, say goodbye. Say goodbye. Down you get, sweetie. Okay, hello. So, thought I'd do a couple things today. First thing I wanted to do is I have some yes/no questions. So, of course, that always necessitates pulling out my handy dandy pendulum. I have received requests to do a pendulum reading, basically on sort of every state in the union, to find out if they're going to, go red, go blue, stay red, like that. I have to find a map of the United States that lists the names of every single state and what color they currently are. And when I find that, or when one of you send it to me, I can then figure out a way to do the pendulum. But since I'm Canadian, not real familiar with every single one of your states. So there's that. But I'm getting to it. I'm working on it. I'm aware of the fact that there have been requests, and I'm figuring out what I can do. But there are a few questions that I did want to ask. Some of them have been asked before, and so this is just by way of checking up. And I think maybe one or two of them are newer. So for those of you who have not seen me use the pendulum before, this pendulum goes side to side like you can see it doing when it is ready to answer questions, and you can see it stops, right? Please show me yes, pendulum. And as you can see, it is a back and forth motion. And this pendulum has been programmed that way because it's also used to sort of specifically point to certain things in different uses. So that's why it goes back and forth for yes. I acknowledge that most don't. And please show me no. Thank you, stop. And some of you may notice that my hand vibrates a little bit. That is because of the motion of the pendulum. So there we have it. So my first question is what's the story with Kim Jong-un? So I want to know, is he sick? Not is he dying, but just has he had some health concerns lately that have caused him to sort of go underground, if you will? Okay, so I'm getting a big yes on that. So, and there's mixed reports, right? Some people say he had surgery, and then they said, no, he didn't. And then other people thought maybe, he was dead, or maybe he had the virus. So we know that he has suffered some sort of a health issue. Is this going to cause sort of serious disruption within North Korean politics? No. Okay. Next, I want to know about Chinese interference in the 2020 U.S. election. Is China or will they impact the U.S. election or try to? And that's a huge, big yes. Okay, thank you. As we're talking about China, let's address some of these concerns. Okay. Was COVID-19 originally created or caused from a wet market? Is that where the COVID-19 originally came from? Okay, that is a yes. So that, the wet markets in China are unbelievably unsanitary, one, and two, they really do deal with a lot of like wildlife, and things get contaminated and cross-contaminated. So it's not outrageous at all to think that it came from a wet market. That is where most of these sort of diseases that get really crazy out of hand come from, because you don't want to have situations where you have animals, wild animals in particular, being crossed with humans. Okay, was there work being done on COVID in a lab? So yes. Was there an incident in the lab that might have caused this to accelerate? No. Okay. Did China misrepresent the number of illnesses and fatalities? Yes. Did they do that in part for political stability? Okay, that's a yes, but it doesn't appear that that was sort of their main motivation. As a result of that, was China able to ensure that they had all of the medical supplies that they needed before they, were approached to ship them out to other countries? And that is also a yes. And I got one more question because it rolls around. Is there a current working vaccine for COVID-19? No. Is there one in China specifically? No. Did they think they had one? At one point, were they entertaining or feeling like they got a handle on this and they were going to be able to use something? Yeah. Okay. And did that ultimately work? Was that vaccine? No. Okay. And while we're on it, one more or two more. Has Donald Trump does Donald Trump have the COVID-19 virus? That's a yes. I want to ask that again. Has Donald Trump been infected with the COVID-19 virus? So I'm not sure what the difference is. One more time. Pendulum. Has Donald Trump had the virus, or is he a carrier of the virus, an asymptomatic carrier? Okay, that's a yes. I don't like it when I get really mixed answers like that, so we're going to just sort of tuck that aside and see if a little one, down the road we get any clarity on that. Russia. Is Russia continuing to interfere in the 2020 election? Of course they are. And are they specifically targeting certain demographics? And like in 2016 and 18, is their strategy to flood the media with not only stories that are lies, but stories that sort of get everybody riled up and create division? Well, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't they? It worked really well, the last two times they tried it, right? Okay. And here's another one that I'm not sure that we're going to get real clarity on, okay? So, is Donald Trump likely to leave office by the end of June by more than 70%? Is there more than a 70% chance that he will leave office one way or the other by June? Okay, I'm getting a no on that. Is Donald Trump still going to be in office in November for the elections? Okay, so we're getting a yes. And you know what? Again, I have said that if he's not leaving sort of in the spring, early summer, then I think he'll be there until the election. But nobody has any clarity on this answer as near as I can gather or figure. Is he going to win the 2020 election? No. Is he most likely to attend the inauguration? Is he likely to try to leave the country very near the day of inauguration? That's a yes. Okay. So this is interesting. So, and I don't know if I shared this with you before. I don't think so. So I recently saw something, and they were talking about the poll numbers, Donald Trump's poll numbers, and they specifically were targeting evangelicals, Catholics, and something called mainline Protestants. And I don't know exactly what defines somebody as a mainline Protestant versus a Protestant, however. And they were comparing sort of their confidence in him, etc., from the beginning of March till now. And it was drops in each of those categories by, if I'm not mistaken, I think the evangelicals and the Protestants had dropped by about 20%. And I think Catholics were the ones that had dropped about 12. So even those that he was really counting on and depending on, those people who, sort of just listen to authority without really questioning it, and that's no slam against religions, even those people he is losing, right? So that's sort of really interesting news. Are Donald Trump's poll numbers going to continue to drop? Yes. And is that going to cause Donald Trump to react in more out of control and even dangerous ways? Yeah, so we can expect more erratic behavior from him. Is his opening up of the economy going to be successful? Is that going to work for him? No. As a result of the states that are open, and this is the thing, right? Some states are cautiously starting to open up a little bit. That's very different than sort of let's push a button and everybody go back to business as usual. So is there going to be a surge in not only virus infections, but virus deaths? Yeah. Okay. At one point, it appeared that by time this was said and done, and I suspect that this includes sort of it returning in the fall. So let's just ask that first. Is COVID like to resurge in the fall? Yeah. And is that likely to take place towards the end of September? No. Towards the end of October? in November. Okay, so it was no to September, no to October, and yes to November, which really is kind of good news, right? Because if it hasn't sort of really impacted significantly by November, that should help voting, right? There should be more of a turnout for voting because hopefully most states will have put some precautions in place. Is Trump going to continue to lose his base? Okay. Originally, we were told that, or there were indications that when everything was said and done, the COVID virus was going to claim about sort of in the area of 1.5 to 2 million lives in the United States. Is that still accurate? Yeah, because of course, there's very, very little being done to stop it, to slow it down, right? Okay, let's take a look at McConnell. Is Mitch McConnell going to win in 2020? Is he going to retain his Senate seat? That's a great big no. Are there investigations that are ongoing between or into the behaviors or business practices of, or political practices of McConnell and his wife, Elaine Chao? Yes, there are. Are those investigations ultimately going to, cause trouble for them? Are they is there going to be a ramification, a serious consequences to some of the behaviors that they have indulged in? That's a yes. Okay. SCOTUS. So interesting. I saw that William Barr has been pushing the Trump administration to back off on its attempt to completely dismantle Obamacare. That case is coming up, and apparently Barr must at least have enough, legal savvy to know this isn't. They don't have a good argument. This isn't going to go well for them, and he has apparently been encouraging Trump to pull back on that. So that's interesting. So maybe we'll ask about that. Is Obamacare at a basic level going to survive until the Democrats regain power? Yes. And speaking of healthcare, ultimately, is the United States going to end up with a healthcare system that is, initially at least, stop moving, a blend of Obamacare and Medicare for all? Is there going to be some sort of a blend of that? Yeah. Is Bernie Sanders, stop moving. This thing is very excited today. It just, part of it is because it hears my questions in my mind, right? And it starts answering before I can get them out. Is Bernie Sanders going to be seriously involved in that? Is he going to play a role in sort of trying to heal the Medicare system within the country? And that's a great big whopping yes. Okay. SCOTUS. Is the ruling with regards to Donald Trump's business tax returns going to be in Trump's favor? No. Does that mean that sometimes in the fall, those tax returns will be released to the interested parties? Okay, so those, I think, if I'm not mistaken, are like House committees. So I don't know that we, the people, the public, are going to see them that quickly, but it looks like that ruling is not going to go. Now it was sort of a moderate no, so maybe it's not going to go quite the way he wanted. Maybe he'll get a little win somewhere, but it definitely looks like overall his strategy of this ridiculous total immunity or absolute immunity is not going to fly. Okay, let's take a look at Biden. Is Joe Biden going to become the next president of the United States? Yes. Is he going to stay healthy through the run-up to the election and the inauguration? Yes. And I know there's a lot of people out there who don't agree with that. Is he going to be able to complete his first 4 years in office? And he has, for those of you who maybe not heard, he is committed to only serving one term in office. Is he going to be able to complete that term? Yes. Okay. And again, this is a repeat question. Is Joe Biden still seriously considering and likely to have a Black female vice president? That's a yes. Is he going to have females in significant positions within his administrations? Yes. Okay. Is the 2020 election going to result in a Democrat White House? Okay, well, yes, so that would make sense, right? If Biden wins, or when Biden wins. Is the House going to maintain its Democrat majority? Is the House likely to actually pick up a few more seats? And that's a yes. And there surely are some of those Republicans who really need to be voted out of office. As a result of the 2020 election, is the Senate going to become a Democratic majority? Okay. And is that Senate going to increase by 5 or less seats? Okay. Is it going to increase by 3 or 4? And that's a yes. Okay. Let me just think if I have any other questions that we can take a look at. Give me a minute to sort of ponder. Is the group known as the Lincoln Project? Are their ads, is their strategy actually going to have a significant impact in terms of turning people away from the Republicans? Yeah, it is. So that's good news. Is there going to be a vaccine that is effective and works, available by the end of May next year. So a year from now. Is there going to be a vaccine available a year from now? Yeah, so that's interesting, right? Because typically that would mean that the vaccine is they're really, really pushing it through. So that's, I guess, good news. And are they going to, are the medical professionals going to figure out a treatment plan, like something that they can do or use to help people who are seriously infected? Is there going to be a drug or a treatment plan discovered that will help? And that's a big yes. So that's also good news. What else would I like to know about? I'm sure there's like 100 more questions. They're just sort of not free floating around in my brain right now. Are Republicans across the board going to lose their credit and standing as a result of their behavior and reaction in terms of treating COVID? Yeah. Apparently, Chris Christie is very busy pushing reopening this, opening everything up in his state. I think I'm not even sure what state he's in, but wherever it is, he is. And when he was asked, he said, well, people are going to die. Like, what do you want? People are going to die. That's horrendous. And that kind of disregard for human life and cruelty is not only being displayed by him or Trump. There's a whole whack of those people out there who that is their response. Well, people are going to die. Like, what do you want? And so it's nice to get an indication that, yeah, at some point, you know what, that's really going to come back and it's not going to work for them. And there is definitely going to be a consequence to their behavior. Okay, so I think that's it for now. My brain's not coming up with any more brilliant questions. So thank you very much. I hope that the questions have, and the pendulum has answered some of your questions, perhaps put you at ease about some things, maybe confirmed some things to you that you already thought or answers you already received. And for those of you who, when I use my pendulum, use yours and, get the results, please don't hesitate to send them to me in comments. It is fascinating to me that wherever you are and whenever you see this, somehow magically your pendulum is able to respond either to my voice and my questions or to you repeating it. And it is really quite surprising how often the numbers or the answers are really, really kind of in sync with each other. So if you've been doing that, let me know what the results look like, okay? All right, so until next time, stay safe and be well. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.